Hello again, friends. Joe here. It is the end of the month. That means Premium Gala, or Legfest in Grand Blue Fantasy, which means more new characters for us to take a wee look at. Unlike Flashfest, in the middle of the month, one of the characters, or one or more of the characters in a Premium Gala is almost always related to and teased in the ongoing end of month story event, which in this case is Showtime Legend of the Blue Yonder, which means I will be very surprised if this guy, is not a playable character in this banner. But yeah, like I said, like before, I haven't looked at anything, read it, anything to get spoiled. And as before, also, I'm not an endgame player. Don't take anything I say as gospel. This is basically just my initial thoughts on seeing some brand new characters. It's all a bit of fun, so let's go see what we get. Let's see who is new. Yep, sure. I was expecting that. He's Wind, which is what he was in the event. Which honestly, I'm surprised he's Wind actually. Like I would have, based on like the way he looks and the whole thing that was going on in the previous event that he showed up in, I would have expected him to be dark, maybe. But Wind is fine, I guess. And we have another thing. Okay. Wow, okay. Not expecting her to be a character. Ms. Miranda, I was expecting her to just be perpetually trapped in NPC land. But, yeah, I guess fans of the Mysteria Academy events will be happy with that. Anyway, let's go check out their kits. Take a look at the weapons first, actually. Show's weapon, Destiny Knuckles. Big boost attack. Take damage worth 20% of max HP at battle start. Okay. And then enmity. I don't think I've seen that before. That's interesting. But probably, I'm going to say, probably not a weapon that gets much use. And Charming Broom. Big fire, small HP. Alright. Let's look at Show first, since we already have an idea of what he's about based on the event, so I'm expecting some enmity stuff, some unchallenged, and a big jammed buff. But anyway, he's Ogi, massive wind damage 2 with foe, dodge all attacks from foes for 1 time, and when almost knocked out, removed 1 buff from a foe. Okay, that's not too bad. So he gets dodge all from... It's only 1 time rather than 1 turn. 1 turn would be pretty busted, but that's pretty good. That'll keep him alive, especially when he's almost knocked out. Skill 1, sacrifice caster's HP to gain damage immunity and jammed effect. Additional effect when almost knocked out, undying effect 1 time. 10 turn cooldown. Don't know if that'll get knocked down to 9 once you level him up a bit. 2 turns of unchallenged. 8 turns of jammed. So yeah, obviously this uptime is pretty low, but he just becomes straight up immune for 2 turns, so even with this cooldown, that's still pretty good. And also 8 turns of jammed is, depending on what the numbers on this is, like that's pretty nutty. Especially if this goes down to 9 turns. I don't know if it will. I wouldn't be surprised if this just stays at 10 turn cooldown, but that's still pretty good uptime. And then you get a guts when he's almost knocked out. So that seems pretty cool. That seems pretty good in terms of just staying alive and whatnot. Skill 2, amplify caster's normal attack damage. Okay. Bonus wind damage effect when almost knocked out affects all allies. 3 turns. Okay. And 7 turn. This probably goes down to 6, so 50% uptime is about normal for this type of attack, but I want to know what the numbers on these are. Like, most of the time this kind of stuff tends to be like maybe 20-30%. So I'm not expecting massive numbers on this, especially for a non-limited character. Same with the same with this. This is probably like maybe 20-30%. But still, like, amplified and echoes, especially when it can affect all allies, that's pretty decent. No damage attacks, I just noticed. No damage skills, rather. Skill 3, fill 1 charge ammo on a foe, 30% boost to ammo. Okay, so that's exactly the same as Tsubasa's skill. So, I would have said that would have made him a really good OTK character. But, honestly, with the Relic Buster now a thing, like, you don't really need characters for boosting charge bar. Like, normally you'd pick like a Huanglong support summon, and then probably use Chrysaor with dual arts. So then you'd use a skill like this to boost everyone's charge bar at 30% up to 90%. And then you'd use Autumn Flow on Chrysaor and then dual arts, and then you'd get a full burst with a few buttons. But now that Relic Buster is a thing, you can just hit 2 buttons and then your entire party has full bar with an Ogi damage and cap boost, and you can use your normal support summon. You don't have to rely on Huanglong. So I don't really know. Like, this kind of skill isn't really that useful these days. I suppose it might be if you're wanting to use a class that isn't Relic Buster for OTK, but honestly, I'm not sure why you would most of the time. But anyway, yeah, support skills. Make way through the Destiny Nocturnes. 1 turn cut to skill cooldowns when a foe uses a special attack. If the foe uses a stance attack, also ends cooldown for King's March. What's a stance attack? Am I completely missing something? What is a stance attack? I've never seen that term in this game before. Okay. Anyway, 1 turn skill cut when the boss Ogies. So that's good. I mean, especially for something like this, helps get this up quicker. I mean, this could potentially have 100% uptime. So, because let's face it, the boss is probably going to Ogi within 8 turns. I'm not sure I can't think of any bosses off the top of my head apart from that one phase of Ultimate Bahamut that even has like more than 7 or 8 charge diamonds, and that's not even counting triggers. So I'm assuming, as is normal, that these are going to get cut down to 6 cooldowns once you level them up a bit. But yeah, that's always handy. And its second support skill, excuse me. When Sho is almost knocked out before attacking, deal triple attacks, bonus wind damage effect, and 10% boost to all allies' charge bars at the end of turn. That seems pretty good. Guaranteed triples when he's almost knocked out, bonus and echoes, which will definitely stack with this because it's from a different source. Plus he's gonna, yeah, like he seems like a decent attacker. The only issue, like the major issue with him really is that Grand Narmaya exists. Like, okay, so like for someone like me, like I have Grand Narmaya, I have Monkey, I have Summer Korwa, I have a lot of the wind characters that you're almost always going to want to use, which means that like he seems pretty good, but not good enough to push out the characters I'm already using. But having said that, he seems like he'd be really good for like newer players. Like especially like he has a lot of like enmity stuff. Like he has a fucking massive 8-turn enmity buff. And obviously like M1, your Magna 1 wind grid is all guns, which is enmity. So like, which synergizes with that. Like a good example, like when I first started playing this game, I had what's his face, Suzaku from the Code Geass collab event. Like, he was in my wind team for a long time, mostly because I didn't have really any other characters to replace him with. But because you're mostly stacking enmity weapons in your grid when you're at that kind of newer stage in wind, plus he had his own enmity buffs, like once his HP starts going down, like he started hitting really hard. Like, I remember when Suzaku's Ogi for me would hit like 1 million damage, which when you're like a newer player, like still, you know, taking multiple turns to kill like this your EX Yggdrasil raid, like 1 million damage off of Ogi is a lot of damage. And like he was, and it was the same with his auto attacks as well. He was like doing like a couple 100,000 auto attacks, which at that stage in the game is a lot of damage. And I can see Sho here being in a similar sort of situation where, like, I think for newer players who don't have a lot of the better characters, they could probably fit him in their win team and pump out a lot of damage. Especially because, you know, he has, when he's got his passive echoes and guaranteed triples when he's almost knocked out. Like, and that's another thing that new players kind of struggle with, is having consistent multi-attack. So that's always good. And plus he's got his own, another source of echoes. He's got Amplified, which can affect the whole party. Like, he seems like a character who would really benefit newer players who are just wanting to get more damage. But when you get further into the game and you start getting more better, higher rated characters, like I said, Grand Nirmaya or Monkey, or, you know, stuff like, and like putting like a support character like Summer Korwa up with them, like there's not really much space for someone like Sho. You know, unless of course you're just wanting to use a bunch of different characters for fun, because God forbid you have fun in this video game. But yeah, that Sho, he seems fine. He seems not terrible. He seems like a solid, like, game width 9.5. You know, so like I said, I think I can see a lot of newer players getting some use out of him, but not a whole lot to offer more established players. Although, like I said, he does have some useful buffs that can affect the entire team, which is fine. Anyway, on to Ms. Miranda. Okay, so she's a healer in fire, I'm seeing that. Her Ogi, massive fire damage to a foe, remove 1 debuff from all allies. Okay, that's fun. Good, a nice clear on Ogi. Skill 1, boost all allies' fire attack and charge bar gain and restore HP. Cool. Skill 2, debuff immunity to all allies avail. Okay. Oh, damage immunity for one hit. 1 turn would have been very nice, and a dispel cancel. Enchanting Fantasy. Fill 1 charge diamond on a foe. Similar to what we just looked at. Shield effect to all allies and wind damage reduction for 5 turns. I'm assuming this goes down to 6 turns as well. So 50% uptime, that's okay. Support skills. 1 turn cut to more similar skills here. 1 turn cut to skill cooldowns when a foe uses. That's exactly the same as Sho's. If the foe uses an what? What? Okay. Hello everyone, Future Joe here, and after recording this, I saw in a comment in a Reddit thread that apparently stance and incanted attacks are the actual names for like the yellow and purple like omen triggers in V2 fights, apparently. That's the first time I've ever seen those words used for those things in this game, but apparently that's what that means. So the stance attack and incanted attack condition in Sho and Ms. Miranda's support skill, that's what that is. So basically when a V2 boss does a certain trigger, you'll get the extra effect. Okay. Back to present/past Joe. Abracadabra. Raise light arts level by 1 when a fire ally uses his skill. When used at level 7, activates Lucent Charm and resets level. So, okay. Okay, so she's mostly just like a simple kind of support character. Boost fire attack, that's fine. That's nice if you're using double Colossus. Charge bar again is always nice to have. And then just a Veil and Dispel Cancel is nice, very nice. Oh, excuse me, plus unchallenged for 1 hit. Like I said, 1 turn would have been nice, but 1 hit is also pretty good. I don't know about this, to be honest. Obviously, this depends on the number. I don't know what percentage this would be, but that's always nice. Shields are also handy. Again, depending on the numbers, I can't see this being more than a few thousand. And at the expense of filling a charge bar, I don't know how useful this will be in the long run. Yeah, she seems fine. Like, honestly, she doesn't... In my initial impression, she doesn't seem super great. I think mostly just because she doesn't seem to have much in the way of personal damage. Which is kind of, in a lot of ways, what this game is about these days, is just trying to shit out as much damage as you can. Often as quick as you can, and she doesn't really have that. She is purely a support character, which she might be useful in the harder raids. Like, I don't really have any experience with like Fasan and Beelzebub, so I don't know how useful she would be in those raids. Like, she has a wind damage load effect, and if you paired her with like Athena, who has a wind switch, like this could work pretty well to mitigate a lot of damage in like those null raids where the damage you're being dealt against is completely random, like with, you know, like Fasan's auto attacks. So being able to have a wind switch and then get whatever percentage of wind damage lowered out could help mitigate a lot of damage in that raid. So she could be used. She seems like she might be useful in that raid. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not an endgame player, so I don't have that much experience with those fights. But outside of that context, like, she seems fine. She doesn't seem that great. Like a lot of the content outside of those very tippy-toppy raids aren't particularly difficult, so you don't really need a lot of these kind of support things all the time. Like, obviously Veil is always useful. Like, I don't want to shit on that. Like, Veil is always very handy. Dispel Cancel as well. Like, this is a very good skill, apart from the fact that it's 14 turns cooldown. Like, even with this, like, that's still quite a lot of cooldown. I don't know, like I said, I don't know what this means. Like, I don't know, like, how often you'd be able to get this 3-turn cut. Like, if it's often, then that means that, like, you know, her skill 1 is going to be up pretty much all the time. This is going to be up fairly regularly as well, but this is still a really large cooldown, so I don't know. Like I said, I need to find out what incanted attacks and stanced attacks are. Like I said, this is the first time I've seen these mentioned. I don't know. She seems fine. She seems okay. Like, possibly useful in, like I said, like Fasan because of her utility. But I don't have that much experience, so I can't really say on that front. But my initial impression is that she is a character who I'm sure a lot of people are happy is now playable, but that people might be a little bit underwhelmed with. So yeah, we'll see how she shakes up in future. But that's gonna do it for this video. This went a bit longer than the last one. But until next time, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.